Hello, folks. Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave, that's Scott, and we are here to review 1958's Vincent Price classic, The Fly.
Yeah.
Scott, did you ever see it before?
I had never seen The Fly. I've always just heard, people would always reference it with, help me, help me. And I was like, what is that? What is that? So I went into this completely blind. I had only seen David Cronenberg's version of The Fly, so I didn't know what I was going to expect. Two very different movies.
Yeah.
I will say this. I absolutely love Vincent Price.
Oh,
he is, I have to gush about him. I will watch him do anything on screen. His delivery, his presence, he's just such a cool motherfucker. Who wouldn't want, he's just everything about him just oozes swag, man. He's awesome.
He was in a class by himself.
Yeah.
He really was. He was just a classy guy. I remember seeing and watching a documentary, it might have been in his A&E biography. They talked about he used to cook for the entire cast and crew.
Really?
Like there would be movies that he'd be on, and he would just be like, "No, we don't need the food trucks. We don't need the people to come in."
He became craft services.
Wow. Don't worry, everyone. I've got craft service covered. And he would bring in food, and he would feed everybody, the cast, the crew, the key grips, whoever was there.
That's
Come
awesome.
Get some food, everyone. We're eating, and he was evidently a really, really good chef. Like unbelievably good, because people would gush. And I remember watching the show, and they were gushing about, like, no, you don't understand. He cooked, and he didn't just like throw sandwiches together. He had spreads. He had meals. He had like baked turkey and bacon.
Jeez,
and
what a cool dude.
Beef, and he would just like go all. And they're like, we don't know how he did it, but he'd be up there. He'd have the apron on, like serving food to everybody. And they're like, Vincent, aren't you supposed to be, No, I'm making sure everyone gets fed, and then I'll eat, kind of thing. It was just a classy guy, man. I love that story.
Now, enough of my crush on Vincent. Yeah, it's such a cool fucking dude. I enjoyed this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was not what I was expecting because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
It's good, but and this is just indicative of its time.
Right.
There's not a lot. A lot of the shots are done, and this is minor criticism, folks. This is definitely a classic. It's a really good movie. It's well shot. HBO has got a upscaled 4K version. It looks 4K. It is absolutely gorgeous. I watched it yesterday. It looks like it was filmed today.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this thing is brilliant. But because it's the way it's filmed, there's a lot of static shots. There's not a lot of camera movement. There's not a lot of action. So this pacing does feel like it's a little slow at times.
Yeah.
But it's well done, well acted. My biggest complaint, and you already know what it is the cat.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't show anything like an inside out baboon. But I have a hang up. You kill the cat, I'm upset.
And the funny thing
you
is,
do the dog, I'm upset.
The thing is, you see him look up, and you're like, "Oh shit, that cat's in the wall." But then when he's talking to his girlfriend, he's just like, it's just in space. It just like
yeah. I was reading about.
So it leaves you to wonder did he look up and see the cat in the wall, or did he look up and just see like the particles of the cat?
Well, they added the little howling in the distance to show that it's out there somewhere, I think is what was done. And I find that just as disturbing. And that was such a cute cat, and it looks just like my baby. So I was like, no, don't put Dandolo in there.
You're going to have a problem with that.
I do. And I know the cat was fine, and I know that, but it's one of the things that I have a hard time with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Boondock Saints, I'm talking to you.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So yeah.
That's funny. We were talking, and you said you had asked me whether it was colorized.
Yeah.
And I made the comment, this is how old Scott and I are.
Yes.
We watched all these movies when we were younger. Scott didn't see this before, but I had, and we watched all these movies that are actually colored in black and white because when we were kids, that's what we had. We had a small
Dude,
black and white
I
TV.
had no idea that Monty Python was in color either. I'm just saying.
Oh, no shit.
Because we would tune in late at night with foil wrapped around the antennas on the local access station to watch Monty Python's Flying Circus, and it was in black and white because that's my ancient TV.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, and it's always surprising when I watch an old movie that I watched like 100 times as a kid and I hadn't seen since then, and I watch it now and I'm like, oh shit, it's in color. I had no idea. This thing was filmed in color. Yeah, everybody had an old black and white TV, maybe 12 by 12, just small.
They weren't big. They weren't big.
Carry it around. They were heavy. Some of them were pretty damn heavy, but they were small. They were compact.
And
everybody had a pair of pliers to make sure you could turn the channel.
Because everybody's knob had broken at some point.
I don't know where the hell those knobs were made for the televisions back then, but every one of them broke, and everybody had a pair of pliers to turn the channel with.
Yep, you had to. You had to. God, gone are the days.
Oh, yeah. Ah, the good old days.
Yeah, 3 channels.
Yeah.
4 if you were lucky.
Yeah. In Michigan, we had a few because we get Channel 9, like I said.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier. I had Channel 9 out of Canada, a UHF channel, and a VHF channel. Channel 50 was on UHF. If you stood on your leg just right and balanced on one foot, you could get 56. And then we had Channel 20 that was on VHF.
Yeah.
I was just insane.
What kills me is not too long ago, I'd hooked up an antenna at my house. I'm like, it's the 2000s, the 2020s. Why am I using an antenna?
Right.
But you'll get like 30 freaking stations in high def. And it's like, wow, what? This come a long way. And no pliers on these TVs.
Yeah, I got because I rent. I can't put one up, but whenever I do, I will probably put like a 20-foot tower up.
I did. I at one point, but a hurricane took it out. But
yeah, you're gonna get nice reception then.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty. It's a lot. I just go full circle with that. But yeah, it was. I had thought it was in black and white for some reason, but it's in beautiful color. It looks great on HBO. Sounds good.
Yeah,
it's a neat story. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it is about a scientist who's developed a way to teleport matter from one location to another. And of course, the inevitable happens. He starts with some China, and it's really cool how they did that, how it switched the words. I thought, it went to Bizarro world or whatever.
Bizarro world.
Everything was backwards.
He takes a piece to China that his wife had, and he teleports it, and she picks it up, and she's like, oh, this is great. And then she looks on the back of it, and it says made in Japan, but it's all backwards. And not just spelled backwards, but the letters and everything is switched.
It's completely mirrored.
She says something like, well, that's kind of funny, look at that. And the guy looks at it and he starts freaking out and he runs over and starts doing calculations again. Like he's got his paper and his chalk. And she starts talking to him and he's gone. He's already freaking out that this
you can tell he's obsessed.
Yeah. So she leaves. But yeah, that was great. I loved how they showed that there was a problem before teleporting the cat.
Yeah, he jumped to that cat way too fast. And it's like, dude, really? Really? Oh, he was so sure of himself. And I know that's why they did that, to show that and you have some sympathy for him. And I think near the end of the movie, it becomes quite comical, this hunt for the fly. Because so let me back up. They did the test with the China, and then he fixed it. He teleported the cat. Whoops, the cat disappears into the ether.
Right,
and then the fucker teleports himself with a fly.
But here's the funny thing: is I never realized it. They never showed that teleportation.
They did not.
I remember the teleportation.
I thought I had fallen asleep and it's like, God damn, did I miss something? Nope, they don't show it.
But as a kid, I could have swore that I saw him get in the box and hit the button.
Yeah.
But no. Either that or it was edited out, but I don't know why you'd take that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mind was filling in a hole in my memory.
Yeah.
Which I like my memory better.
Yeah, and that's what happens, especially with something that so much happens off screen.
Yeah, a lot of happens off screen.
This is a disturbing movie, and it really is, and it's really neat because our next show is actually dealing with David Cronenberg's remake, and we'll see where he took it to a whole new level of disturbing.
Well, here's the really for me, for the 1958 Fly, the most disturbing, I mean, granted the guy's a fly, but the most disturbing is how they open the movie, basically. Vincent Price gets a phone call from his brother's wife saying, yeah, your brother's dead, blah, blah, blah. He goes to his shop, and where they have this huge press, and all you see is a body and blood splattered all over the press, because this is in color back in 1958, and that red was red.
It was very red.
And you see the body hanging out from this big, huge press, and there's just blood dripping from it, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" And the press goes up, and Kat and I are looking at each other, we're like, "Wouldn't you still be able to tell that thing wasn't human there?"
Okay, now they made a point to mention just how far that press went. And it was on the special setting that put it metal to metal, no matter what.
So it was super thin. So maybe
there would have been nothing. But and I thought, well, just check the DNA. It's like, you know what? They didn't have that then.
I thought of that too. I was like, but you could blood type, right? Wouldn't you be able to pull out blood?
And you would have been able to see some material maybe under a microscope. I don't know, but it's
maybe they just looked at him and said, "Get the flat shovel. Let's clean this up." Because there ain't no way I'm touching
the majority of this movie is a confession from the scientist's wife on why she murdered her husband. And it was actually really cool. And at the end of the movie, she was upset, but she was also at peace. She knew she had to. She put him out of his misery. And that was horrible for her. I felt for this woman. And I just wanted to smack her stupid ass husband for attempting this.
Just that guy.
Now, here's the thing that's kind of screwed up. And this is where I think they made a mistake. When he does the cat, he puts a saucer of milk inside there, and the saucer transfers and doesn't have any cat bits. But when he transfers with the fly, his DNA ends up in the fly's DNA, and the fly's DNA ends up in his DNA. And it's like,
you're right.
It's weird.
But did the saucer transfer? I don't remember the saucer actually being there.
I think the saucer transferred.
When he transferred the first saucer, that was just the plate.
I think when he did the cat, the saucer was there.
I don't remember the milk and saucer showing up. Oh shit! Now I'm gonna have to go back and look.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because if it did, then that makes zero sense. That's like what
I may have visualized it.
Yeah, there you go. The memory is completely different than facts.
Happens
a
lot.
Why I can never be on a witness stand.
That's why eyewitness testimony is not as valid as people like you to believe.
That's right. What else did I like about this movie? Oh, the fact that when I was a kid, I watched so many Vincent Price movies. I was used to Vincent Price always being the bad guy. Vincent Price was always, kind of guy. And the monster, the bad guy. He was in Pit and the Pendulum. He was in The Raven. He was in, House, not the House of Fallen. Yeah,
House on Haunted Hill,
right? The Haunted Hill. Name it. He was generally the bad guy. However, House on Haunted Hill, he was kind of the good bad.
I'm going to have to go watch that one. I've only seen the remake, and I love the remake, so I need to see it.
House on Haunted Hill, I think, was filmed in 3D. Just remember that when you're watching.
Cool. Like when I saw The Creature the first time was in 3D.
Yeah, the film. Exactly. But as a kid, he was always the bad guy. So when he shows up, I'm expecting Vincent Price to be the bad guy. Yeah. Vincent Price is actually the nice guy. He's actually a good guy. He's really actually trying to help people. And I'm like, wait, this is this is weird and strange and uncomfortable. You know?
This is not the Vincent Price I know.
When is he going to kill somebody? And I'm like, oh wow! But Vincent Price, when he played a good guy, you really loved the sympathy.
Yeah, well,
that
see, he put the fly in the teleportation pod because he really was in love with his sister-in-law.
That's probably what it was.
When we just don't see that.
Redhead.
Yeah, but he does mention when the inspector asks, "Are you in love with her?" Yes.
Yes. Well, you're not gonna lie.
No.
But the funny thing is, like, that's his motivation was just to make sure she was okay.
Yeah, he was just a good guy.
And the inspector believes her story. The inspector's like, this is just insane. She's got to be crazy. But I see what you're telling me. I hear the facts are lining up with her story. I just can't, she's insane. Then at the end, the little boy finds the fly again. He's, I found that white fly. And Vincent Price is like still talking. And it takes him like 3 seconds, like a beat. Boom, boom. What did you say? Like, wait, where? And it's by the shed. No, it's not by the shed. It's by the bench.
Yeah.
Outside.
On a spider web.
In the spider web. And he runs out there and he grabs the inspector. He's like, we got to go. And the inspector's like, what are you talking about? A white fly is not going to change my mind. White-headed fly is not going to change my mind. And
this
Vincent
one
Price is like, you got to come on, let's go. They find the fly. And what it is it's a fly, but it's the scientist's head and one of his arms. And he's in the web and the spider is just coming at him.
And he's screaming, help me, help me.
I love that scene. God,
it's so cheesy. It's great.
And the inspector.
Oh, dude, I did not see that coming.
The inspector is freaking out. This spider's just about ready to like kill this guy. And the inspector steps on the fly and the spider and kills him.
Yeah.
And then Vincent Price hits him.
Vincent Price
hits him with it.
You're a murderer just as much as she is.
Makes you a murderer, doesn't it?
I think he committed suicide.
He's like,
it's like, boom.
What? He explains to him, well, she killed the fly with a human body, and you killed a human with a fly body, or with a fly with a human's head. It's something like that. And the inspector's just like, oh my God. And the inspector's mind, you can see his mind is just breaking down. I mean, that actor, when he put that on his face, it's like, what's going through his head. Like, oh my God, he's right. And then they both come up with the plan. He committed suicide. I just forgot he's asked him something about the press. He goes, well, I forgot to turn the settings off.
Yep.
It's, it was an accident on my part,
counter there.
but it wouldn't have stopped him from killing himself that way. The way they just figure out a way to get her off.
Yep.
Because she's admitted, she says, I murdered my husband. I murdered him. I killed him. But in reality, she didn't murder him. I mean, she really did not murder him. She helped kill him, but she didn't. I would never. If I saw somebody do that, I'd be like, you're free. You're free.
The problem is you would have had to seen that, and if it wasn't for the inspector seeing the fly body, she'd have went to jail.
Yeah. She was going to an insane asylum.
Well, yeah.
They were just like, we can't. Nobody's going to believe this.
No.
Why would you?
No, I wouldn't believe it today.
And why would you use sugar? Wouldn't you use poop to attract that fly? Tracy, go wipe your ass and put some toilet paper on the front room sofa. I got to attract a fly.
Yeah.
I think that would have worked.
I did like how it ended. And of course, like all these movies, boom, it's over.
Oh, yeah.
But it ended with he basically, you could see that he will have a family now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And she's got somebody who's going to take care of her. The kid's got a dad.
The kid loves his uncle, so it's
it was a good ending.
Very good.
It wasn't forced. There was nothing creepy about it. You know what I mean?
No, it was.
You didn't look at this movie and go, that's a creepy ending. It's just like, no, I could, that would happen. I could see that.
It absolutely made sense. Yeah. That was not creepy at all. So, I will give my final thoughts on the Vincent Price.
I
Fly.
dare you.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I think it's worth a watch
good.
for sure. I have an issue anytime any harm comes to an animal, even though I know it's fake, but it's always hard for me. But that being said, good fucking movie.
Great.
Definitely a watch. And Vincent Price was amazing.
Just such a gentleman, such a good guy from all accounts. Yeah, I love this movie. I am a huge, if my push comes to shove, old horror movies, late 50s, early 60s, which is, we discussed one that we're going to watch, our last one before we go into the Christmas movies. Yeah, I love those old ones. David Cronenberg is older, but it's still, to me, it's a much newer movie, much newer horror movie than I like to watch. I like watching
different kind of horror movie.
Yeah, I like watching campy, tchotchke, schlocky horror movies. The big monster that you can see the wheels moving whenever you can see the body pushing the monster from behind, kind of thing.
Men in rabbit suits.
Yeah, like the zipper on the suit. I love that stuff. And folks, if you don't love those movies, you're not going to love my reviews of these movies.
It's fun to watch. These are movies that I never go back to, and I never really get around to watching, because it is different, and you do have to be in the mindset to watch something that's so different than the cinema that we take in today. I like a lot of flash and action and just boom, boom, boom. I like things to move fast. I like to be entertained. But I also like a really good story. So it's good to go back and take a look at some of these, and not only from the story standpoint, but just the movie making standpoint and watching the history. I mean, this was a 70-year-old movie that we just watched.
That mask that they used on the 1950 version of The Fly,
the mandibles were even moving. It's like, oh, wow, look at that.
And the guy, whenever she whips the mask, there's a big reveal. She whips the mask off. She sees the fly. He's got this fly hand, right? Really creepy. And I can't imagine the shock in the theater at that point.
Well, I'd never seen anything like that.
Because everybody knew that the guy was probably a fly. They're like, well, fuck, they're not going to show it? Come on. And then that hood gets ripped off of him, and it's a fly. This guy's big fly head. And he's, the mandibles are... And the guy was twitching, like,
He did a good job. He really did.
It was really good. I don't know if it was the actor actually in that mask or not, or if they had like a body double. They were like, "Well, Bob, your day's over. Have a nice day." Yeah, you're wrapped. Or whether he was actually in that, I don't know. I've never been able to find out for sure whether he was in it. But yeah, the special effects for that, like you said, for the time.
Oh, dude.
That headpiece and the armature for the fly arm, holy cow! You can't get any better than that.
No.
That was good. But real quick, before we switch over, before we say goodbye, James Clavell wrote this. He's the guy who wrote like all the mini series in the 70s.
Really?
I think was it Shogun that he wrote? North and South or something like that. I know that he wrote like a bunch of miniseries back in the day. I want to go through the names. David Hedison was the guy who turns into the fly. He was such a big character actor back then. I know you've seen him in everything. Another actor who showed up on Love Boat.
They all showed up on Love Boat. What you talking about?
They all show up on Love Boat and Fantasy Island. He was the doctor, Andre Delambra, which is another thing. Everybody was French and nobody spoke with a French accent.
No, they did not. Even though France. It looked, they were in Montreal. They were in Canada.
Was it Montreal? Okay.
I saw it on the side of a car, and it's like, okay, so they're in Canada, but nobody had a Canadian accent either.
You're a fly, eh?
Take off, hey, you stupid fly.
Go away, fly, eh? Here, have a beer. It'll make you better.
It'll make you better, eh?
Patricia Owens was Helen.
Take off, you hoser. Sorry, this is bad impersonations and accents.
To the great white north, take off.
Okay.
To the beauty way to go. Anyway, yes, Patricia Owens was
Coming within a year on Old Ass Movie Reviews, we will be doing Strange Brew. I promise you.
We got to. That'll make Tim so happy. He's asked me about it twice, and I'm like,
favorite movies. It's in my top 10. I love it.
Gotta watch it. Where was I? Oh, Patricia Owens was Celine Delambre. Vincent Price was Francois Delambre. Herbert Marshall was Inspector Charas. You know, I knew that guy looked familiar. I knew he sounded familiar. Didn't realize it was Herbert Marshall. I should have. Emma was played by Kathleen Freeman. That was the maid that she kept yelling at and saying, "Don't kill the fly! Don't kill the fly!"
No, the maid's like,
and then she
bitch!
kills the fly. She's like, "What the fuck?" Betty Lou Gerson was the nurse, and the little kid. He didn't play a bad little kid.
Yeah, he did
especially
fine.
for the time period.
Yeah.
Usually the little kids were really dumb and goofy, but this kid actually played just a typical little kid.
He's a cute kid.
Charles Herbert, Philippe Delambre. Those are the main characters. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
Very good movie.
Biggest box office hit of director Kurt Newman's career.
Oh,
that's nice to know.
I could definitely see that was probably a big box office draw. So definitely. Well, if you enjoy our reviews, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'd like to welcome all our new subscribers. Thank you for finding us wherever it was you found us. And please continue to share, like, give us a review on where you watch your podcast. I don't know, hit the review button. Just hook us up, man. We want more listeners. We'd love to interact with you. Also, drop us a line.
5-star reviews are more than welcome.
Absolutely. Helps us get found.
Like Scott said, share us around. Just copy the link, post it to your favorite,
whatever it is,
social media site, whether it's Twitter,
wherever that be,
wherever it may be, wherever. Instagram's for shit, folks. It doesn't work with a crap. But go ahead and share us there too if you can.
Yeah, we're over there, but it's a pain in the butt. So anyway,
Scott over there.
Yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch you next week with The Fly again, but this time 1986's David Cronenberg's version of The Fly. See you then.
Cheers.